We got to talk a little LSU recruiting because this week in the Bayou, it is the biggest game of the weekend. At least in my book, it's the biggest game of the weekend. Also for top recruits, they are going to be on hand. I got Sam Spiegelman here. We're going to run down the most important names visiting LSU this weekend. But first, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube, so jump on board and hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in national analyst Sam Spiegelman. Sam, is this a 5-star weekend for LSU?
It certainly is. They'll have multiple 5-star recruits in town, many of them from the state of Louisiana, many of them committed, many of them guys that are already trending in the right direction for Brian Kelly and these Tigers. That includes the number one tight end in the country, Ahmad Hudson, out of Ruston. He'll be visiting for a second weekend in a row. My prediction is in for LSU with the number one tight end in the country, a legacy target. I also have predictions in for return visitors, Javon Vital Jr., an in-state athlete that was in town again last weekend for the Louisiana Tech game. They'll have some of their top commitments in town. Again, Big Rich Anderson, one of the top defensive linemen in the country, out of New Orleans, Edna Carr, Lamar Brown, of course, the number 2 player in the country, their prized face of this class. Don't be surprised if someone like Blaine Bradford is in town. Of course, he'll be there visiting his brother. But of course, he's still in town. LSU is still recruiting him. This is very much the makings of a 5-star weekend for the Tigers.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little quarterback recruiting because we've been talking a lot about LSU in the quarterback position since last weekend. Probably the biggest surprise of the weekend was that Landon Duckworth, South Carolina top 10 quarterback commitment, showed up at LSU. So with that being said, we got another big game this weekend. Any quarterbacks on campus that we're interested in?
Quite a few. As LSU tries to flip Duckworth and try to find a 2026 high school quarterback, their attention is also in this 2027 arms race. As we know, a lot of the top quarterbacks are already off the board of the 2027 class. This weekend, LSU will bring in 3 of their top targets to town. Colton Nussmeier, obviously the electric top 100 quarterback legacy, little brother of Garrett Nussmeier, LSU starting quarterback and Heisman candidate. They'll have Peyton Houston, who will announce his decision on September 15th, this Monday. Predictions from myself, Steve Wilfong, Adam Gorney in for Oklahoma, but he's visiting LSU, a team that has significantly closed the gap in this recruitment over the summer, we're hearing. And then, of course, Elijah Haven, the number 1 quarterback in the Rivals industry ranking, the 5-star from Baton Rouge, the Dunham School, where notable Tigers like Derek Stingley Jr. played at in high school. A top target for Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly, and these Tigers will also be in town. I can say this, even though Oklahoma is trending for Houston, we can almost pencil in that one of these quarterbacks will likely be in the Tigers class when it's all said and done, potentially even 2.
Yeah, and visits make a big impact on some of these recruits. So coming into it, yes, I agree. Peyton Houston trending to Oklahoma. Coming out of this weekend, we will just have to wait and see what he has to say about this trip. So that being said, Sam, who else are we tracking that is of importance that we expect to be on the sidelines for this game?
Yeah, we talk about the 2026 class, and LSU still has some work to do, not only at quarterback, but potentially at running back. And Frank Wilson and the Tigers are going to bring in their top running back target on the board, KJ Edwards out of Carthage, an East Texas powerhouse. He's been committed to Texas A&M since June. He took his OV to LSU. He took his OV to College Station and committed to the Aggies soon after. But LSU has kept its foot on the gas, and he's going to make this visit this weekend. I know that Texas is also making a run at KJ Edwards, who at one point was leaning toward the Longhorns. But LSU just offered KJ in the spring. He's only been to campus once for his OV, and he still has interest in the program. There's a lot of confidence in Aggie land that KJ sticks in this class, and for good reason. But LSU's not going anywhere, and they're going to keep recruiting KJ until he says no. And this visit this weekend will loom pretty large toward what's to come.
All right. So I know you've had an opportunity to be at some of these LSU Florida games. It's not the biggest rivalry in the country by any means, not on either of these team schedules, but it's pretty heated and it's always a great game. Why is that? Why LSU kind of stacks the sidelines with top recruits for this one?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be on the sidelines in Ben Griffin Stadium for LSU Florida. I've been in Tiger Stadium for a couple of these games, and one thing for sure, these games always get a little bit crazy.
Yeah,
This
they
is just
do.
kind of the tradition in the SEC with some of these. They're not the top rivalries, but they are rivalry games, and both of
Mm-hmm.
these teams are geared up for this one. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure on Coach Napier, who, of course, was a candidate for the LSU job once upon a time, and made a lot of noise in the state when he was Louisiana's head coach. And when he went to Florida and had some success, LSU fans were paying attention to that, and vice versa. Obviously, LSU is 2-0. This is a massive recruiting weekend. We're talking about the five stars in town. They have commitments from blue chippers like Trenton Henderson from Pensacola, who's a big part of this star-studded LSU 2026 class. They're going to have top 2027 guys in town from the Sunshine State. This is LSU won a signature win week one against Clemson on the road. But these games get weird, and there's to get a big game, to win a big game in this sort of atmosphere would loom large, but it sounds a lot easier than it comes. And LSU is going to have to earn it this weekend.
Yeah.
And if they do, they'll have a crowd of top recruits on hand to see it.
All right. Well, what's your prediction on the game? Inside Scoop fans, listen up. Whether you're cheering on the Alabama Crimson Tide or the Wisconsin Badgers on September 13th, make sure you do one thing. That's drop by the Whataburger food truck during your tailgate. Get ready to bring home that W early with a hot, fresh Whataburger in hand. And, no matter who comes out on top, when you take your team to Whataburger, you'll feel like a winner with food made fresh and hot every time, 24/7. We'll see you at the game, and we'll see you at Whataburger.
I like how LSU looks. Their defense has, I think, been the theme of the season. Blake Baker has that team clicking. Between the linebacking core of the Weeks brothers and Harold Perkins finding his rhythm back
Mm-hmm.
healthy. You love the play of this LSU defensive line, which is retooled in the transfer portal, and some of the young faces in the secondary making plays. I like how this defense looks. I'm also, as you know, Josh, a huge fan of DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
I think that when you have a quarterback like that, and I covered Garrett Nussmeier, these are two Texas quarterbacks. I think this could be a high scoring game, and we'll see if one of these. There's a lot of playmakers on both of these defenses. I like LSU. I'll leave it to one of these defensive playmakers to make the game deciding play.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. The more I think about it, I'm kind of surprised with UF's start, and I don't know what to make of LSU's win over Clemson after watching that Clemson Troy game last weekend. But I do like LSU at home. I do think that something's going on with DJ Lagway. You and I both watched him a lot in high school, and he doesn't look mobile. Have you noticed that he doesn't look like he's able to move very well? And I think that's going to play right into LSU's hands.
Yeah, that's the thing. And in high school, he was able to overcome a lot of these injuries or nicks and bruises. He's a tough kid. His grit. I know people might think that's cliche, but it's a real thing. And he's played through serious injuries or injuries that might have kept him out and kept other quarterbacks out. But DJ is, as you know, Josh,
Yeah.
not from this planet. And his makeup, if he is one bit healthier, that's enough to maybe sway this game. But I'm with you. He hasn't looked like the DJ that I'm used to seeing. Because if he was at 100%, I think this Florida offense would be clicking at a better pace so far.
Yeah, a little surprised. But LSU fans, you guys talk to us. What is your prediction for LSU Florida Saturday night in the Bayou? Let us know. Comment section below.